Hello everyone, this is Derek with Reef Automation. This is another Reef Automation tutorials for Neptune systems. Today I'm going to go over how to set up an Apex initially when you first get it. I've had a number of people have some difficulties, so I just wanted to go through how simple it can be and some of the troubleshooting steps that you might need if you are setting up a new Apex and you're still having some issues. So let's get started. We're going to start on my iPhone. I find that an iPhone is the easiest way to do it. You can also use a computer and you can also use an Android device, but the phones are pretty much the same depending on which app you use. It's going to basically tell you exactly what to do. So I'll show you how to do that and then we'll go through the computer setup. So here's my iPhone. I'm going to hit the icon in the upper left hand corner that looks like a infinity sign or an 8, and that's to add the reef. So we're going to call it add reef. You could put in your gallons. You're going to say continue. Now you're going to pick your type of model that you're using. Now for this tutorial we're going to be using an Apex. An Apex EL is the exact same setup. You're going to say launch. Now you choose if you want to connect it through Ethernet or you want to connect it through Wi-Fi. Now we're going to do the Wi-Fi setup. We're going to then also do the wired setup. So depending on your setup, you can use the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet. Now, I recommend for anybody that has this guy that you set it up with Ethernet because it seems to be the easiest and quickest way in which to do so. And of course, I recommend hardwiring all controllers and all types of devices on your aquarium, whereas wireless tends to have more issues and you can get interference, and I always recommend hardwired. But anyway, we're going to go through the Wi-Fi setup first. All right, so when you first turn it on, it's going to give you a little video. It's going to ask you if you see the blue logo. So in this case, I do see the blue logo on mine. So I'm going to hit this, and then all you're going to do is scan the label. So we're going to go like this. We're going to get out the Apex right here, and we're going to scan the label. That's it. So now it's going to ask if you want to connect to it. You say join, and then it's going to connect to the base unit. Now this could take a few minutes. Depending on your Wi-Fi, it could take a little longer. So we'll let this go. So now it looks for your networks. So my network is the Mariners right there. So I'm going to say continue. It's then going to ask for the password. And then it's going to connect to my Wi-Fi. So I'll give this a few seconds. So again, it's connecting to the Wi-Fi in my home. So as long as you have a good Wi-Fi source, it shouldn't take very long. So we'll just keep letting it go. So now with the newer setup, it's going to automatically link to Fusion, which is really nice. Before you had to put a token in for the older and classic models, but now it just automatically links. All right, so we go to our dashboard, and now we have a new one. And I've called it Reef, and there it is. And now I can connect to multiple different things here. And you're going to see I'm going to be getting a lot of alarms because I don't have it connected yet. But if I go to the Wi-Fi connector, it'll tell me what the configuration is. It'll tell me what the IP address is. It'll tell me what everything is that it's currently connected to, as you can see right here. And that's how you connect to it through Wi-Fi. So now we're going to go on how to connect to it through Ethernet. So when you do Ethernet, you're going to do basically the same exact thing, but it's going to be a little bit easier and there's a couple less steps. So we'll get back to the main menu, we'll hit the infinity icon and you'll put in the aquarium name and the gallons. We're going to launch the Apex, but this time we're going to say connect using wired. You're going to skip the little video, set continue, and then you should see something that says Apex ready to link. You're going to say link to my account. And it's going to link just like that. And that's how you do it via the Ethernet. It's quite simple via Ethernet. It takes about 2 seconds. If you're struggling at this point, there's a couple things that you need to confirm and look for. And basically what you want to look for is that your apex is on the network. So we're going to show you. So if you're unable to see your apex or you're unable to get through any of these points that we went through, the best thing to do is an IP scan. Now an IP scan is going to let us know if indeed the unit is on the network, if it's via Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and find out what's going on with it. And this is the easiest way in which to do so. I recommend a program called Wireless Network Watcher, and you can get this online anywhere. I can put a link in the description as well where you can get this. And the Wireless Network Watcher will give you all of your IP addresses of all the devices in your house on that same network. Now again, this you're going to have to do from a computer, and you can download a program called Fing, F-I-N-G, which is also a scanning program for the phone. And this will indicate if indeed your unit is on the network. Now, generally when you first put this on your computer and you run it, it's going to have a series of items that might not look familiar, but what you're looking for is the device name up here. And usually if the device name was labeled something, it'll give you an indication of who makes it. Now, for instance, these are all Amazon devices. I have a Ring device. But you'll see here, I don't know what this is, HT Hub V3. So out of all of my devices that I've looked through, I go, I don't know what this is. Could this be my apex? So what I do is I copy the IP address, which is 191, so it's 192.168.2.191, and I click up here to check if that's it, which I already did a little bit earlier. And once I click in, I'm going to find out that's my apex, which is admin1234. Now again, the reason I recommend doing this through Ethernet is once you get the Ethernet going, you can come in here and very easily just go to your Wi-Fi tab and configure the Wi-Fi via a computer, just like so. You can also do the same thing with a phone via the Chrome browser or via the Safari browser or whatever you use on your phone. You can dial in the IP address as long as your phone is on the Wi-Fi and on the same network and you did the network scan. As long as you did the network scan and you see it on there, you can go on there and change it to Wi-Fi right here. And then once you've done this and you've edited the Wi-Fi, you've put in the network, you've put in the SSID, which is your network name, and your password, you can then connect to the Apex via Wi-Fi as well. So this is a good troubleshooting step if you're still struggling to get past any of the first menus in the app. If you're not able to link the Apex, more than likely it's not on the network. And that's why usually using Ethernet is the easiest way to get it back. Also, if you're not seeing it, a factory default by pressing the reset button on the bottom for 30 seconds until you see the red Neptune logo, and that'll tell you that it's been reset. Another thing to check for is if the logo is orange, that means that the apex that you have is already communicating with Fusion. Now, usually that would happen if you've purchased an apex that was used. So you need to do a factory default on that as well. So this is if you have a Windows computer. You can see I did a network wireless or network watcher. And if you have a Mac, you can use something called IP Scanner. So this is IP Scanner. Now what I like about IP Scanner on the Mac is it actually says right down here, here's Neptune System. So it actually tells you the manufacturer of the Ethernet card, which is wonderful because then it tells you exactly where your Neptune is. And you do the same thing. You just type in the address and it will get you to your apex. So that's basically it. I mean, that's how you get to the apex. That's how you're able to get to it if you're struggling to get past any of the menus. But it's a very simple setup to get it going. Once you get it going, you can go through all the basic setups here. So you have your dashboard. Again, this is not Fusion. This is the internal unit. So you're actually controlling the internal unit. And generally, you'll see just some basic stuff here. There's not going to be much until you set it up. And I recommend whenever you get one that you just go through the basic setups here. You save your configuration in case you need to configure it if you cause any issues down the road. But other than that, that's basically how you set up an Apex from brand new. So hopefully this helps you guys that are interested in getting an Apex and getting it up and running. Hopefully you liked the video, and if you did, please hit the thumbs up on the bottom. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe. I do live streams every week, and generally I give away some prizes. Once we hit 1,000 subs, we're going to be giving away a Neptune Trident. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.